Good morning students. In the last class we discussed about crossbar switching systems. In that we discussed different configurations such as how to establish a connection between calling and call subscriber for a 6x6 crossbar switching system. Okay. In all the cases we discussed about the process of energizing the bars to achieve the connection. To take an example, for a 6x6 crossbar switching system, to establish a connection between A to C, you have to follow some order. We call it a sequence or scheme. What is scheme you have to use here? First energize the horizontal bar, then energize vertical bar, then de-energize the horizontal bar. You have to follow this sequence such that without any undesired latcher, you can able to establish connection between calling and call subscriber. Okay. So the sequence you are following is very important for latching up the contact points. Okay. So what are the drawbacks in this method? The number of cross points are more. For n subscribers, it requires n square cross points. Okay. Here, when if you want to make a call between A to C, if A is initiating a call, then the switch AC will be latched up. For example, if C is initiating the call, then the CA cross point get latched up. So to overcome the above problem, we are trying to use a single switch AC, irrespective of the subscriber who is initiating the call. Whether A is initiating or C is initiating, we are going to use only one cross point, that is AC. If you apply this methodology, the entire switching matrix is reduced to half. You can call it as a diagonal connection. Okay. So this is the diagonal connection after removing the undesired cross points. So in case of diagonal crossbar connection, what is the sequence you have to follow? In case of diagonal connection, the sequence of energizing will follow based upon the geometry. For example, I want to establish a connection between A to F. In that case, we have to follow one sequence. Or if you want to establish connection between E to A, you have to follow another sequence. Now we check here once. If you want to establish a connection between A to F, in that case, first of all you have to energize the vertical bar. You have to energize the vertical bar. Then you have to energize the horizontal bar. Therefore, then next step is de-energize the vertical bar for latching up FA connection. For example, if you try to apply the reverse order, what happens you see. First energize horizontal A, then energize vertical F. Therefore, there is no latch up between A and F. That means in case of diagonal matrix connection, we have to follow the geometry. Based upon the geometry, you should initiate either vertical first or horizontal first. So from this case, we observe that whenever A is initiating the call, in that case, we have to energize A, that is vertical bar of A first, then horizontal bar of F first, second, then de-energize vertical bar of A. Okay. Now, a subscriber D wants to make a call to a subscriber A. In that case, we will check first how to energize the bars. We follow the same order as earlier. Energize vertical bar D and energize horizontal A. Again, there is no latch up takes place. So in this case, we have to energize the horizontal first and energize the vertical second. Therefore, the latch ups takes place. Here, therefore, in diagonal connection, based upon that geometry, you have to decide the order of the sequence. Okay, that is about diagonal connection. So next one is a blocking network. In the previous case, if you observe, already discussed, right, the last class, the number of cross points required here is n into n minus 1 by 2, which is nothing but the number of links required for a fully connected network. Therefore, the diagonal matrix is an example for fully connected network. Therefore, it is not a non-blocking network. So, since we analyze that all subscribers may not active in a single duration of time. So we can go for a blocking network to improve the utilization factor. Okay. So this is the case where you can observe a blocking network. Here the number of horizontal bars are not equal to number of vertical bars. For 7 subscribers, here I am using only 3 vertical bars. So these are also required 3 vertical bars. If I take 100 also, I can go for some 5 plus 5 vertical bars. Okay, that's the advantage of using a blocking network. With the help of blocking network, we can able to reduce the number of vertical bars, so that we can reduce the number of cross points. Therefore, we can increase the efficiency or utilization factor. Okay. So in this case, what is the order of sequence you have to follow to energize the bars? For example, my objective is to establish connection between A to B. In this case, we can follow 2 sequences, 2 schemes. First scheme is energize horizontal A. Then choose 1 vertical bar among the 3 bars. For time being, I am taking this P bar. Therefore, since the order is following, the latch-up takes place between A and P. Next case, you have to choose energize horizontal B. And you have to choose 1 vertical bar which is having electrical contact. So here it is wrong. This is P dash and this is R dash. So for P and P dash, there is an electrical path. Therefore, I have to choose only P dash first. So energize P dash vertically. It creates a latch-up between BP dash. This is BP dash and this is AP. Since P and P dash are having electrical contact, therefore there is a connection between A to B subscribers. This is scheme 1. Scheme 2 is energize both horizontal bars A and B. Then energize both vertical bars P and P dash. Then de-energize both horizontal bars A and B. So this is the sequence you have to follow to establish connection between A to the B in case of blocking networks. Okay. So after this, you can also, this is comes under only for a single exchange, because if you want to make a call between A to B, this is okay. For example, some subscriber Z is there in another exchange. In that case, we have to use a transfer line. You can call them as a transfer lines. So these transfer lines are used for establishing connection for non-local subscribers. This entire operation is only for local subscribers. If you want to establish connection between non-local subscribers, then how to, with the help of these transfer lines, you can do this. See this one, this one. So here I am using transfer lines. So this circuit comes under blocking network with transfer lines. Similarly, you can also have a non-blocking network with transfer lines also. That means the number of horizontal bars equal to number of vertical bars. That is an example for non-blocking network. So this is about the crossbar switching systems. Okay, we seen one blocking network and one non-blocking network with the transfer lines and without transfer lines. Transfer lines are used for establishing connection between non-local subscribers. Okay. Next one is cross point technology. If you take the example in a crossbar switching system, the predominant component is cross points, right? For n subscribers, we require n square cross points. Therefore, in a crossbar switching system, the predominant component is cross points. So, as a designer, our objective is to improve the efficiency or to reduce the cost of the network. How can we do that? One way is by reducing the number of cross points, we can improve the efficiency and can also decrease the cost. And second one is by designing this cross point technology in such a way that we can have a small size with a low cost. This can also improve the performance as well as the cost of the system. Okay. So in this topic, my objective is to reduce the size of the cross point as well as the cost of the cross point. Okay, so mainly there are two types are there. So one is called, you can use an electromechanical cross point. Another one is electronic cross point. Okay, there are two types of cross points are there. One is electromechanical, another one is electronic. So in case of electromechanical, okay, something we can see right like this. We observed right in the last class. We seen that it contains some magnetic coils, magnetic material as contact point. By moving the vertical and horizontal bars, we are trying to make up the connections, right? So in case of electromechanical, the breaking and making of circuits is done in 8 to 10 milliseconds. The time taken for making and breaking of the circuit or cross point is 8 to 10 milliseconds. This is a very large time. So as a design engineer, our objective is to reduce this time taken for establishing a connection. And one more thing is, here more number of moving parts are there. Okay, so as we know that more number of moving parts means frequency of maintenance is more. So to overcome the problem, we will go for a non-moving parts with a less spacing here. So in case of electromechanical, we will study two things. One is called mini switches, and second one is reed relays. Okay. Now we will see the operation of mini switches. So in mini switches, we are going to place the palladium based contacts. In case of mini switches, we are going to place palladium based contacts on the horizontal and vertical bars, which are in the form of a V shape. We call that as V notch. So by properly energizing the horizontal and vertical bars, we are trying to bring those contacts. So after energizing, this may be the position of contacts to establish connection between the two subscribers. So here, since it contains more number of moving parts, it is going to take 8 to 10 milliseconds of time to establish a connection. That is a drawback in mini switches. And one more thing is, why I am choosing palladium here means it is having good corrosion resistance property. That is the reason why we are using here a palladium based contacts. Okay. So what is the drawback in this method? Because moving parts are more, the time taken to establish connection is more. To overcome the problem, we will go for a reed relays. So this is a structure of a reed relay. It contains, there are 2 points. Okay, it contains some magnetic contacts. The spacing between these two metals is 0.2 mm. The spacing between the two contacts is 0.2 mm, which was sealed inside a glass. The main objective of this glass tube sealing is to eliminate the contaminants from the external environment, so that the lifetime of these reed relays will be increased. Now we will see the operation, how it will operates. So first I will explain, later I am going to show some video. So here reed relays are operated in 2 ways. One is electrical latcher, and second one is magnetic latcher. Okay, in reed relays we have 2 types. One is electrical electrical latch-up, another one is magnetic latch-up. In case of electrical latch-up, we are going to place two windings on this glass seal. By passing current through these coils simultaneously, we are going to create some magnetic field. Because of this magnetic field, these two contacts come closer and creates a electrical contact. Okay, so in this case, the drawback is until the connection is active, we have to supply these energizing currents. That's the main drawback in case of electrical latch-up. So to overcome this problem, we will go for a magnetic latch-up. In case of magnetic latch-up, here the contact materials are having the property of hysteresis. Okay, so here during the connection required, we will pass some current. Because of the current, the magnetic field is created. Because of the magnetic field, these two contacts come closer and maintains the contact. Because of the residual magnetism property, even though I remove this bias current or energizing current, these two contact points are still in contact. Okay, therefore in this case the advantage is this energizing current is not required until the connection is active. Okay, now how to open the circuit? To open the circuit, we have to apply de-energizing current. De-energize current. Okay, so to open the circuit, we have to apply a de-energizing current to overcome this residual magnetism property. Therefore, the circuit will be open. So this is the operation of electrical latch-up and magnetic latch-ups used in reed relays. So this is the entire discussion of cross-point technology. Okay, thank you. Okay, now you can see the operation of these reed relays in terms of animation. Now watch this video. So these are the two magnetic contact points. The spacing between these two is 0.2 mm. Now these contact points are sealed inside a glass tube. Yeah, these two contacts are sealed inside a glass tube so that we can eliminate the contaminants from outside. Now what to do? We have to create a latch-up between these two contact points by providing some electrical magnetic field. That magnetic field is created with the help of a current or the help of magnetic poles. Anything you can do. In our example, we have taken coils to create the magnetic field. So in this video, this is some other video I have chosen, but the operation is similar. Yeah, we are taking some coil here. After energizing this coil, it is going to create some magnetic field. That magnetic field is going to create some movement between the contact points. Finally, they displaced some distance of 0.2 mm to create the electrical contact between those two points. Yeah, because of it, those two contacts come closer and create an electrical path. That's it. The next topic is crossbar. The next topic is crossbar exchange organization. So this is the representation of the crossbar exchange organization, which consists of mainly three blocks. One is called as a link frame, and second one is control marker, and the third one is resistors. Okay. So coming to link frames. Link frame consists of array of cross points which are arranged in two stages. Link frames consist of array of cross points which are arranged in two stages. First stage is called as a primary stage and the second one is called as secondary stage. Okay, so why we are using two stages? Why not a single stage? To connect these two stages, we use links. To connect these two stages, we use links. Okay, why we are going for two stages? Why not a single stage? Means the general idea here is whenever our objective is to increase the number of outlets. Whenever my objective is to increase the number of outlets, in that case I go for a two-stage frame links. Okay, therefore the number of outlets will be increased further. Generally we call this concept as expanding the switching system. Expanding the switching system. Okay, that is the first one, link frames. So the job of control marker is to establish a connection between a calling and call subscriber by organizing these switching points or cross points. Okay. So the register is for sending the required tones, sending a dial tone, sending a ring tone, sending a call processing tone, and also to store the dial digits. For this purpose, we use the registers. Okay. So this is this is the process of crossbar switching organizations. Here, two more points to be noted is the line link frames along with the registers and control markers clubbed together called as a link unit. Okay, the link line frame along with the resources such as registers and control markers grouped together called as a link unit. And second one is the trunk line link frame along with the associated hardware is called as a group unit. Okay, 2 points are important here. One is called as link unit, another is called as group unit. Okay, so what are the elements present in a link unit? Means nothing but your link frames, nothing but your primary stage and secondary stage along with the control markers and registers. Okay, so these link units are two directional. That means we can use these link units both for originating and terminating the calls. Okay, these link units are two directional. That is, we can use these link lines for both originating and terminating the calls. What is the use of group units? Group units are used only for unidirectional. That is only for transmitting the calls from one exchange to another exchange. We use these trunk line groups are called as group units. So one more thing, if you observe clearly here, you can see a folded connection. That means with help of these group units, we can able to establish connection for the same exchange subscribers as well as for out of the exchange subscribers called as non-local subscribers. That's the advantage of using a folded network, right? Already we've seen, right? Folded, non-folded. The folded networks are used to establish connection for local subscribers, and non-folded are used to establish connection for non-local subscribers. Okay. Now coming to the crossbar organization principle, there are mainly three sections are there. One is called as pre-selection. Second is called as group selection. And third one is called as line selection. So the crossbar exchange operates on three basic principles such as pre-selection, group selection and line selection. So what is the meaning of pre-selection? So this pre-selection process, okay, works when the subscriber hook off his telephone set and it completed once the dial tone is received by him. Okay, this pre-selection process starts when the subscriber hook off his telephone set and a corresponding register is going to send a dial tone to the calling subscriber. This process completes. That is about pre-selection process. What is group selection process? Group selection process is nothing but in this process it is going to establish a switching path between the exchanges. That is called as group selection process. So based upon the digits dialed by the subscriber. And third one is line selector. This is the final selection process. Okay, this selection process is going to create an electrical path between the calling and call subscriber. That is called as a line selection process. So there are three important processes which are used in crossbar exchange organization. So these are the topics in Unit 1. So with this we completed Unit 1 topics. In the next class we will discuss about Unit 2. Thank you.